The clock is ticking and it's keeping investors on edge. While consensus is that US politicians will strike a deal to avert a default, it is becoming more and more clear that the deal might come just in the nick of time before that June 1st deadline. But this isn't the first time that the US government has raised its debt ceiling. In fact, history suggests that they have done so on 78 occasions in the past, and it is becoming even more predictable in the recent times. 49 times under the Republican presidents and a whole of 29 times under the Democratic administration. For now, various media reports suggest that talks between the US President Joe Biden and top Congress Republican Kevin McCarthy could be closing in on a deal. It is said that the government would raise the $31.4 trillion debt ceiling for another 2 years, while capping spending on most items, essentially the non-defense discretionary spends. So how did the government get here, and what exactly is a debt ceiling? To put it simply, it refers to the situation that arises when a country reaches its statutory limit on the amount of debt it can incur. Now, in the United States, for example, the debt ceiling is a limit set by the Congress on the amount of money the federal government can borrow in order to finance its operation as well as pay its obligations. But when the debt approaches the limit, the government faces the risk of a default on its financial obligations, which in turn could mean that it cannot borrow more money. But markets have begun to get restless. The S&P 500 declining nearly 2% in just the last 4 sessions. Even the CBOE VIX, the volatility index, that has risen from its post-pandemic lows. Such market turbulence could intensify, but experts are not too worried about the situation, knowing well that history could repeat itself.
The really bad scenario for the global economy, for the US generally, of the US actually defaulting in terms of not paying the interest on the debt, that just won't happen. They will get a deal to avoid that happening, even if we don't get a deal quite by the 1st of June. Though that sort of outcome is what we've unfortunately seen many times in developing economies, Argentina, Sri Lanka, Tunisia, Ghana recently. It is not what the US is going to do. There's many more things the US can do in terms of curbing, cutting, slowing their domestic spending before there's any risk that they will stop paying interest on the debt.
To seal any deal, it seems a sharp cut in spendings is now a foregone conclusion.